fermentation of foods and specifically making kraut. So Angela, I want you to start off and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what we're going to do today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. I am a board-certified holistic health practitioner. I'm also a nutrition consultant, and also I spend a lot of time focusing on the quantum aspect of energy. And as a quantum energy practitioner, I love working with the energetics of food and understanding how food can feed so many dimensions of our life, not just digestion, but also our minds and our bodies and our souls. So with that, I have a practice in Denton, working with clients on a daily basis, and showing them how to make kraut and get the ferments in their life is a key part of my practice.
Great. One of the buzzwords we hear a lot today is gut health, gut dysbiosis, a lot of issues related to the lack of natural flora in the gut. So kraut, fermented, and fermented foods can be a way to get that back into the gut. And so you're going to talk to us today about why that's important and how to do that.
Absolutely, and you nailed it. It's so important to get the culture back into our culture. Every great culture across the globe has kraut or some kind of fermented food as a foundation of their diet. In America, we don't see that anymore, and we want to definitely move toward a state of consciousness in our culture and bring back the things that are going to add culture to our bodies. The real benefits, there's 3 massive benefits of why we're going to do fermented foods, and we're going to focus on kraut today, but there is a wide variety of ferments we can bring into our life. From some things back here, we have cauliflower, pink kraut, we have some daikon radish, we could ferment pickles, cucumbers, you name it. Whatever we have too much of, we have a mass quantity of, let's get it preserved and make it work for us for months and even years to come. So a couple of those benefits we just mentioned. Number one is the fact you can preserve this food. It's not going to go bad. So if we have a big garden surplus of vegetables, we can go ahead and ferment the heck out of them and keep them on our shelf throughout the winter when we have no food. So having food during scarce months is a wonderful reason to focus on kraut. But the biggest reason we already mentioned is digestion, is the gut microbiome and the culture of our bodies. When we're eating cultured food, we're not just loving up our gut. We're loving up every single organ of our body because everything begins in the gut, and we want to make sure our balance of bacteria is ideal in the brain, in the shoulders, all the way through the entire microbiome. So we're going to do that by infusing probiotics, enzymes, all of the wonderful support that we get from a cultured item. When we make our own kraut, we are getting in the trillions of parts per million of bacteria, as compared to a store-bought version is going to be in the millions. So there's a lot of just good stuff that's packed into a homemade version of kraut.
And that's going to be really important. I know, like in a person like myself, I've lost my appendix, and so the appendix is like the sperm bank for the microbiome in the gut.
Absolutely.
And so I've lost that. So for somebody like myself, this becomes super important to constantly replenish that flora.
You nailed that. And a lot of us are missing organs now in this life we live in now, in this modern world. We're missing important organs, and we've got to keep our flora balanced, because wherever we're having missing, not just the appendix where that begins, but also every organ of the body needs to be at balance. And this, the wonderful thing about these cultured vegetables is that it allows for the pH to be balanced. And pH is everything. pH means voltage, means the life force. And when we're eating balanced foods, we are infusing that balance in an organ system that's missing. So the digestion is a key piece of why we ferment. We talked about being able to preserve food, but the third biggest benefit would be about cost savings. We can save so much money, as you know, when we get back to the basics and just invest a little time and love into our food.
I can remember being a young mom with 5 children,
right.
Trying to plan, and we did a lot of Weston A. Price things, and the grains and the nuts and all of that. We soaked all that stuff, and just the economy of being able to do that is so important for moms with families.
You nailed that. And I mean, we're talking about pennies as opposed to several dollars when we buy a ferment from the store that, again, is just not the quality we're going to get when we make our own.
Right.
So lots of reasons to ferment.
Okay, take us through it.
All right, so a quick little how-to. And I really want to just first simplify by saying all we're doing here is really just using vegetables and salt. That's all fermenting really is. So if you get overwhelmed, or if you feel like, hey, there's just, I haven't jumped into fermenting, it's a big, massive hill to climb, let's just really simplify and show you all we need is a vegetable and some salt. And if you want, you can put some water in there if you want a very juicy broth, but we did not use any water on this example at all. So to start off with, a couple of supplies. We're going to start with our veg of choice, which we're going to use a green cabbage. We're going to use lime and some ginger as well, because ginger ginger lime kraut is my favorite.
Sounds amazing.
A wonderful place to start, right? I have a high quality pink salt that is air dried. This is a wonderful thing to have, but not required, because even if you're using a lower quality pink salt, one that might have heavy metals, which most Himalayan salts are going to have a Himalayan metal residue in there. The wonderful thing about ferments, and I love this about ferments, is that you can take something that's got, metal or some type of low voltage entity, and the ferments will eat that and leave behind B vitamins.
Right.
And those B vitamins are full spectrum, everything we want.
Everything's just transformed.
Exactly, it's transformed. But for this sake, we're using some really high voltage, high quality air dried pink salt to get that fermenting process really rolling. The other supply we need is the one thing that's going to make this process foolproof every single time is going to be a Phyto jar.
Okay, where do we get those?
The Phyto jar you can get pretty much, Amazon is a wonderful quick hit. Just click Phyto jar and you're going to see all different sizes.
PHYTO?
It's actually FIDO, FIDO jar. If you have one of these, you cannot mess up fermenting. It'll make life so easy. The mason jars are about 80%. Lots of times they're going to mold little things, little tricks you have to learn, and people, sometimes that's too much of a barrier to continue to move forward. So with my clients, we jump right into Phyto.
Nice.
All right, so all we're going to do, real simple here, is get your cutting board out. We actually cut this back in the back for sake of ease. But all you're going to do is take a head of cabbage, cut it up super fine. If you want to use a blender or a food processor, feel free. I prefer to just get kind of long lines and use just a regular old chef's knife, and then put that right in your bowl. I like to add lime and ginger. Just shred that ginger in there, and then you're just going to take this, and if you want to show Michelle, you're just literally going to stomp it with a little stomper. You can get this tool, Kraut Stomper, on Amazon as well. And also, if you don't feel like, doing the stomping process, you can actually just leave the kraut inside the bowl, and, it's not kraut yet, but leave the cabbage inside the bowl and just kind of let the juices do what they do.
What's happened here is things have begun to formulate that juice at the bottom.
Exactly.
And then you just stuff the jar.
That's it. It's literally that easy. You're literally going to take clean hands and pick this up and shove it right in your jar. My hands are pretty clean here, but the idea is just to pack it in. We've got one that's already been packed, and you can see the juices have just filled up. Now, it's not a requirement when you use a Phyto jar to make sure that the juices are all the way to the top. It's not a requirement. Now, in my preference is I like mine juicy. So I personally would fill this up to the top before I squeeze this down, because I like all the brine in there. I use the brine for salad dressing. My family loves to use the brine for all different things. But once you have shoved all of this goodness into the jar, you're literally just going to seal it, snap it down, put it on your shelf. And if you have, and you're literally going to walk away for about a 2-week period.
2 weeks.
Okay. Just walk away, leave it alone, let it do its thing. Let it do its thing for about 2 weeks.
And what's your ambient temperature like while that's fermenting?
Room temp, anywhere between 60 to 80 is ideal. If it gets really hot in your house, let's say summertime, you leave for vacation, it's probably going to ferment a lot quicker. Okay. So be prepared for that. Right. And it's really about preference. If you like yours really crunchy, give it a little less time. If you like yours really soft, then go ahead and give it a little more time. It's your preference.
Super. All right, Angela,
yes.
thank you so much. So this was kraut making. This is the beginning of gut recovery and adding fermented foods to the diet.
Yes, thank you.